Um, Hello. If you came from my other video, hello again. Um, if you haven't seen my other video before this one, I highly recommend it. Or, you don't have to because I'm just going to run over the kind of basically what I talked about. In the last video, I talked about 3 maps and their ziplines. In this video, I actually plan on talking about the just going into depth of the zipline terms and, better how they work. I'm sure most players know how they work, but, to those who don't, I got you. If you haven't seen the last video, I went over 3 maps, and I won't be repeating them because it feels pointless, and I have quite a bit to talk about. In the last video, I went over Glass Houses, Raven Rock, and Faction Action, if you're curious. I don't want to waste time on maps I don't personally find interesting, but I will still go over them. But the main maps I want to talk about are Chaos Canyon, Titanus Reservoir, and Craigville today. If you did watch my other video, I stated that ziplines on Chaos Canyon and cross paths weren't worth messing with because they push you backwards and get you tagged. While that is still true for Chaos Canyon, both maps have text to bypass that issue. Quick reminder of zipline terms. I call it zipline stasis. It's when you keep yourself up on the zipline. There's the anti-tech or zipline flinging. I feel like zipline flinging, calling it that is a little more accurate than the anti-tech because I feel like it's pretty simple, but zipline, fling, anti-tech, same thing. And then there's falling and rolling onto the zipline. In my last video I mentioned how someone could simply run and jump onto the zipline to get across, or at least a decent distance. But there's a better way to do this, where you gain a little bit of height, land and roll where the zipline starts, or kind of wherever you can access it, and grab onto the zipline. You can go further by getting a high MS roll. It's when you are rolling and you see this little blue or even rainbow colored number after you roll. If done right, should send you at least maybe a little more, a little less, halfway up the zipline. It's super useful when you see someone stalling on the zipline or just getting across the zipline if you can't do zipline stasis. Without further ado, let's get into the first map, Chaos Canyon. As you can see, 'tis a big zipline, but don't worry. Zipline flings will save your bacon here. On every map with a zipline, you're able to have yourself lower than the zipline from at least one side of it, and you're able to grab onto it and continue with the anti-tech or zipline fling to send yourself super high. On Chaos Canyon, it's all the same. You can go pretty much any direction you want, but while messing around I found you can actually end on these swings right here near the bottom. If you're capable of pulling off a slide swing, which is when you press your slide key and space at the same time when falling onto a swing that's relatively low to the ground, you can get yourself away from anyone following you. When it comes to zipline stasis, I don't recommend it. I don't. It still pushes you backwards a bit, and if someone's on either side of the zipline, it won't really take much for them to tag you. That pretty much covers the zipline for Chaos Canyon. Next, we're going to talk about a map I do really like, Craigville. Turn off your shadows when you're on Craigville. Oh my god. Does have her shadows on, you numbskull? Turn them Johnsons off, bruh. Anyway, I really like Craigville because it's all about momentum and there's so much to do. Though being a cheeseball is an option, it's kind of lame and not for me. Like I said in my last zipline video, I claimed this one to be loose, meaning it's easier to complete zipline stasis or getting across, and it still rings true. Jumping from the sign to the zipline should give you more than enough distance to get a good rebound, if you will, to get yourself up and back over the zip line. I suppose I failed to mention timing. If you wait too late, you can miss any zip line and fall prematurely. On the other hand, you could grab the line too early and not dip low enough, failing to get enough room to stay on the line. Remember to make sure you have enough room below the line so when you do slide, you can carry yourself back up. Like I said before, Craigville is all about momentum. The grind rails, the endless wall runs, this thing. Over in this corner, there's a small pad that acts as a trampoline. I think they called it a boost pad. Anyway, when you slide onto it, much like a trampoline, you get a crazy high boost. Now, depending on your speed from the momentum you gather on the map, after gaining this height, you can move, a fair distance, even far enough to grab the zipline. But do not be fooled. If you make it far enough to grab the zipline after the high boost, it will only buffer you on the zipline and will make you fall off. Even if you try to slide to carry yourself back up, you will fall. Instead of falling onto the zipline, there are a couple different options. One, you can rail fling off this grind rail, grab the line, and it'll send you across. You can land on the sign and fall onto the line after, continuing with, the zipline tech. Or you can land in front of the zipline post and aim for a high MS roll and grab the line to carry you across. And that's pretty much the zipline for Craigville. Before I get into Titanus, I do want to, run over the rest of the maps pretty quick, but I don't want to waste too much time. On Teapot Temple, it's not all that worth because it's a smaller zipline in my opinion. Getting across is nice, but I don't recommend zipline stasis as, from both sides, it's pretty easy to reach you. West Side Rock. This one is really nice in my opinion. You can stall on it. If you're about it, you can go over or under people. And it's really easy to gain height on this one in my opinion. Like I said, with the terms and whatnot, it feels loose, like it has more slack line for you to gain more height. Pizza Pie Parlor. I'm not a huge fan of this zip line. It isn't fantastic. It's hard to gain height and distance, and stalling on it is not worth it. Sword Fights on the Heights. This one can be countered with a high MS roll onto the zipline because it clears over half the zipline. Stalling is possible, and it is pretty easy to get across, but keep in mind, getting to you is not difficult. Why did I say it like that? Festive Town. This one has two, doesn't it? Zipline number 1, don't stall. You can get across it in like 3 seconds. It's pointless. Zipline 2, do stall. Stalling on this one, do try to stay closer to the taller building, but far enough so that players have to actually get onto the zipline to get to you. From the other side, using a high MS roll, getting onto the zipline gets you a little over halfway. I'll show an example here. Now we can move on to Titanus. I really like this one. It's my second favorite for the ziplines, and it has two. This medium looking one and this big one. Let's go over the big one first. Now you could jump off this little cliff here onto the tree and then onto the zipline, but that's kind of lame. I prefer the zipline anti-fling tech, whatever you want to call it, all of the above. You can do this at a couple different spots. Here, if you press yourself up against the wall and grab it, slide fling up, you know the drill. You can get some decent height. But I also found, with a little hop, you can do it pretty much anywhere around this little base. I personally have issues with stalling on it, so I would just clear it. If you do end up failing or falling prematurely, or doing it on purpose, there are a couple swings near this side of the map that you can use to get a high fall swing, or get a good rail fling right here. At the top of the zip line, there's this little area where if you dip down and do the whole zip flying tech, zip fling tech, you can get good height as well, giving you again the option of a grind rail or a fall swing. The second zip line. This zip line has the same principle as the other. It has close to the same difficulty while not being as vertical. I don't really need to say much about this one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to stick around, I'll try to upload more videos. Psych! What? I didn't go over either of the cross maps. I refuse to go over the crossroads because there's a plethora of videos on UTG that cover this map. You probably skip over because you already know about the text there. But if you don't, I'll link a couple videos in the description. And for crossroads, I was kind of saving it for last. I didn't really have any other reason. I said before, it will send you backwards when you try to get onto the zipline. And yes, it's still true. There are other ways to get onto it without hindering yourself. Coming from this angle and this direction, you're able to fling up enough to get all the way across. Before, I was trying to jump from this bench to do the zip fling, and I'd also try to jump down from the cliff, but I'd always end up getting pulled back. And it was rare that I got away with it, so I hope this helps. Now that's pretty much it for the video. If you learned something new from either of my videos, I'm glad I could help you out. If you enjoyed watching, a like or a sub would be nice, as I do intend on uploading more, both UTG and other things, mostly Lethal Company clips, if you like Lethal Company. I'll probably make a bunch of like short edits and pump them out every other day. Just with the hours of footage I have, I should be able to pluck a few, you know. I also have a TikTok. If you want to check that out, I'll leave it in the description. And I changed my settings for OBS, so my footage should be smoother than before. And so yes, thank you for sticking to the end. When I see you in a public server, whether you see this video or not, you're not ready. It's over for you. It's over for you. You know who you are. You know who you are.